Hello there. All right, now after talking about the days of the week, now we're going to tell you the vocabularies or learn about the months of the year. So we all know that there are 12 months in one year. We're going to start listing the months as they scroll down here. Let's get started. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. All right? You can always repeat the video, pause it to listen. All right? And you get to understand more as you listen more. All right? These are very simple and very basic vocabulary. But remember, in for you to make a tangible speaking, you need to have a good grasp of time. But of course, days of the weeks and months of the year are actually a part of time. Now let's talk about a longer times, more than a month. For example, we've got a decade. A decade is a time of 10 years. A century. A century is a time of 100 years. A millennium. A millennium is a time of 1,000 years. We're now going to look at two time symbols that are mostly common when we're learning in history books or science books because they always date or they go all the way back. In science, it's about research which was done a long time ago or people. In history, it's about the events that happened in history. We've got the first initials or abbreviations, AD. Anno Domini, meaning that this is a Greek word which it stands for the time of the birth of Jesus. So time started being calculated at the time when Jesus was born in Nazareth, Israel. So some people, the Christians, would call him Jesus, and the Muslims would call him Isa, and others would call him Jesus. So he's got different names in different cultures and languages around the world. But the time of birth is the same and it's referred to as AD. So for example, there was a lot of famine in 320 AD. That was the worst famine in human life. So we've used 320 AD, meaning that it's 320 years after the birth of Jesus. Now, the second abbreviations or initials are BC. BC means before Christ. So Christ is the same person, the prophet Isa or Jesus, all right, or Jesu. So when we're talking about before Christ, it means that the time before Jesus came or before Jesus was born. So for example, before Christ, there were a lot of non-believers. Or we can put another sentence this way. There were a lot of indigenous small religions before Christ. The other one would be this way. The dinosaur remains indicate that they were buried, or they were buried at this particular place before Christ. So maybe the bones were discovered somewhere else, and then somebody decided to bury them before Christ. So at a time before Christ. So the dinosaurs actually took a long time. I mean, like it's million and million of years ago. Or maybe there was a natural disaster which actually reburied the bones again. All right. Now, after this, we're now going to talk about seasons right after this lesson. I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao.